Web 3.0, blockchain, cryptocurrency. It's all pretty exciting stuff. But what could this mean for the London taxi trade? Hello everyone, my name is Tom the Taxi Driver, here on YouTube sharing my insights into the London taxi trade. If you enjoy what I do here, hit that subscribe button. Now, I don't know the full ins and out of cryptocurrency, but I like paying attention to the conversation that's going on. One thing I want to draw our attention to today is blockchains and specifically NFT. Now don't worry if you don't understand this, I'm going to break this down into really simple terms that I believe to be correct and actually apply it to the taxi trade and private hire to see what ramifications this might have in the future. I am going to use the New York cab service as an example. How it works in New York is that you buy a medallion and that medallion grants you the opportunity to go get a yellow cab, go hire it and go work in a yellow cab. What's generally happened in the past is those medallions are of a limited number, they are scarce, and as a result that pushes the value up because only so many people can own that medallion. And over the years, the price of those medallions were gradually going up and up. However, Uber came into New York and the city got a little bit carried away. They could issue as many Uber licenses as they want. Very similar situation to what we have in London. So what then happened was that the scarcity of the medallion then dropped. It was no longer the only way to work as a licensed driver in New York because you could go work on the Uber platform. So people that had invested heavily into the medallion system lost out. New York City has actually implicated a restriction on the amount of Uber drivers that are allowed in the city. Now in London, we do have an unlimited amount of Uber licenses. There was a point where Transport for London were granting license after license because, you know, from a business perspective, they can earn money on every single license they issue. Yes, in the short term, TfL do make money from that. In the long term, not so good because there's too many vehicles on the road. So where does this tie in with cryptocurrencies and NFTs? Real quick overview. An NFT is what's called a non-fungible token. And the basic premise of thinking about a non-fungible token is like a one-off, a piece of art for instance. The Mona Lisa could be seen as a non-fungible token because there's only one of those in existence, i.e. once that goes, it's gone. You could have 1,000 of something. David Beckham could sign 1,000 photos of himself, provide a certificate of authenticity, and that then creates some value of scarcity. Once those 1,000 are gone, there are no more to replace that 1,000. And that's very similar to what happens with NFTs online, but the difference being is that rather than it being a physical asset, it can be applied to digital assets. You mint your NFTs to give it some kind of traceability, some authenticity. A certificate of authenticity, i.e. this signed David Beckham photo is one of 1,000 ever produced, gives that some kind of inherent value. It shows you that it is genuine and that there is only 1,000 of them. Well, a minted NFT does the same. Maybe you've drawn a wonderful piece of artwork in Microsoft Paint. Well, you can make that into an NFT. If you mint that piece of artwork, your NFT, your minting is effectively a certificate of authenticity to that artwork. So you can then sell it on, you can then be traced as the original owner. It doesn't have to be digital assets, you can mint physical assets. And the idea of the blockchain is that it's not one person or professional who says, yep, this is a genuine real deal. It's a multitude of computers that have authorized that transaction, that process, that then says, yep, this digital piece of work is the real deal. This clip art or Microsoft Paint picture was made by Tom and it's been authorized by all of these computers. I might have jumped a few steps here, but where does all of this fit in? Let's go back to our original David Beckham signed picture example. If David Beckham makes 1,000 of those pictures and sells them for £10 each, he can only make £10,000 off of those signed pictures. Once they're gone and out of his hands, he's made his original £10,000 and these 1,000 signed pictures are just floating around private ownership somewhere. It doesn't matter to David Beckham if someone of those private owners decides to sell their photo for £1,000, £10,000, maybe £1 million, David Beckham has already made his £10,000 off those photos. That's it, done. However, with a minted and authenticated NFT, David Beckham could always be traced as the original owner of those signed photos. And as a result, he could actually put a small commission on every single sale it makes for the rest of its journey. So he sells it on first time for £10. The next owner might sell it on for £1,000. But in the NFT, he set up a right whereby he earns a 10% commission automatically on any transaction that happens to that signed photo. So he then earns £1,000 on a second sale that he's had nothing to do with. That's just been a private transfer. Where does this NFT or minting idea actually fit in with taxis and private hire? Well, if we look at the private hire scenario in London, TfL could make as many private hire licenses as they like. That makes money in the short term, but as we know, in the long term, it's bad and quite damaging for traffic and congestion in London. However, if there was some kind of incentive to cap private hire numbers, because at the moment TfL could cap private hire numbers, but it's quite a good earner for them to be able to just make more and more licenses. So let's just say they, made a number of 40,000 private hire licenses. Maybe they say, right, that's probably the optimum amount. Because of the amount of traffic and congestion, we can deal with this number. They are incentivized to keep private hire licenses scarce, because what they could then do is make a marketplace of private hire licenses. So let's just say, they sell a license for, £500. First driver buys that license for £500. They say, you know what, I'm done with private hire driving now, I'm going to go sell it on to someone else. Well, they could maybe sell it back to TfL, or they could sell it on to another driver. Knowing there's only 40,000 of these licenses in existence, there's some kind of scarcity to this license. The great thing is, with the NFT minting, is that TfL could be linked to every single transaction of that license. Even if it was £500, £1,000, let's say it skyrockets to £10,000. TfL will always get a cut or commission of it. They can determine what that commission is. That's how this NFT structure works. TfL will still always own those licenses because they've minted it. They are the original proprietors of that finite source. New York City could have minted all of their medallions, and then that way they haven't got to sell endless private hire licenses, because every time a medallion naturally gets sold on, when someone retires, when someone wants to leave the trade, or when someone dies, they will always get a commission, a rolling commission coming back from that. And I think that is the way that Web 3.0, cryptocurrency, or in this case NFTs and blockchain, we're really going to be able to help actual real life industries. There's never been a greater opportunity, a more incentive to make private hire numbers scarcer. Let's look at some of the benefits that could come from this. Firstly, capping to a certain number of private hire drivers reduces congestion and traffic within London. So we've reduced traffic and congestion as well as emissions. So that's 2 already. Also, if there's less private hire licenses, that means less renewals, less vehicles going up for overhaul. So that's less resources required to maintain such a higher number of private hire licenses. And fourth, if there is less licenses, there is more demand for those licenses. It's more lucrative. So the drivers who own those licenses will be some of the better. But also, if they go to sell those licenses on, because it is minted, it is an NFT that has been minted and authorized and belongs to TfL, they will make a commission on every single sale. So it has the benefits of generating a brand new license, but without diluting the numbers of private hire drivers, which then adds far greater economic problems to the private hire industry. I'd be interested to know what you think. Is this a good idea that TfL could make all of the private hire licenses as a non-fungible token that they can earn a commission off of every single sale, whether it's private or through their own hands? Or maybe there's some other ramification that cryptocurrencies and blockchains will have on taxi and private hire industries across the world. I'd be interested to know what you think. Take care, and I shall see you all again soon. Bye bye.